If you've got a Marlin Model 60 or any of the multitude of variants of that rifle, which have been made since 1959 all the way to now, you need a new recoil buffer. Our experience is that the recoil buffers disintegrate after 15 to 20 years, and then your charging handle is going to make a nice big dent in your receiver and mess up your beautiful gun. You don't want that. The drop-in Decellerator Marlin recoil buffer is going to change your shooting experience. The Decellerator Marlin buffer drops right in, and you don't have to take apart your action anymore to change the buffer. The buffers give a better feel in the recoil than the factories. Once you get the old part out, which you can do really easy with a chisel or a screwdriver, just tap on it, break it, get it out of there, and then you drop in the Decellerator, and bada bing, a bada boom. You've got a rifle that's going to work better than it ever did before, and you're not going to have to take that thing apart the next time you change buffers. Let's start out taking a look at our donor rifle here named Red. Red is the rifle that we've developed these parts on, and we've made dozens with all sorts of changes. Let's get started changing the buffer on our Marlin Model 60 from a factory buffer to a Decellerator buffer. We unscrew our two screws. The newer Model 60s have another screw right there. All that's for is providing a relief to the wood grain to prevent cracking. You don't need to take that one out, and you don't need to take this one out. This is simply a retaining screw that holds the trigger guard assembly to the stock. So you take out the rear, and you take out the front right there, and then your stock comes right off. On this particular build, there's a plastic pin here. Some of them have screws on each side. They made a bunch of changes to these actions, none of which affect the bolt buffer. This one jumps underneath a little pin in the front and lifts out. I'm going to suggest that you start out with your bolt held back, pushed into the notch, and then you go and pull your mag tube forward to get the follower out of the way. The follower is the red plastic part that pushes the bullets forward, and we don't want to break it by having it out. Let me show you that follower right there. So we just get that out of the way so that it's not poking through the feed throat, which is right there, and we don't break anything. That's the last thing we want to do here. Now we're looking at our action. Side plates. You see these little E-clips right here? You have to remove those. You've got to set the action back. You've got to put in, let's see, right here. You got to put in a paper clip to hold the spring. Let's see, like that. And you have to set the hammer forward. And then you need a special tool, which is nothing more than a screwdriver that you fork the end on so that you can take this spring right here and push it out of the way, right there, this spring. And then you got to get it back down and under to reassemble it. And as you can see, Red's a little dirty from all the test firing to get this thing right. So to save you the trouble of popping the E-clips in the side plate and running the risk of all the parts going flying, our Decellerator buffer works a little different. It's a drop-in part. In order to drop it in, we've got to get this recoil buffer out of there. And if we take a good look at this thing, we can see it's cracked on the sides. They put a hole in it to give it some give, and it loves to crack all through here, all through there, and then they disintegrate and it chews up your rifle. So instead of doing all that dismantling, we're going to start out with a small chisel. We're going to place it directly in the center on the bottom here, where the pin is that goes through and captures it. And then we're going to take our chisel and a hammer and tap that sucker out and split it like it is. And as you can see, the back split, and there's the pin, and it falls right out. This thing is brittle. It just wants to break. Don't tear up your rifle with an old one of these. Get yourself a new Decellerator. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, quick and easy, no parts went flying, we take our new Decellerator buffer. Check this out. It just drops in through that notch. It's got our classic oval design like we use in our Rossies. This buffer had a whole different set of engineering parameters than the Rossi, so it's different. But it works great. This is a nice, soft, flexible material, and it sucks up that recoil. It takes that little smack that you get every time you fire your Marlin completely out of the equation. Makes this rifle a joy to shoot. So then, all we got to do is push it down through there, just like that. Comes on and off. Nice and easy. Cool? Set our hammer back, which we wouldn't have had to move if I wasn't showing you how it came apart. We get our paper clip back out of there, which we wouldn't have needed if I wasn't showing you how it came apart. And bada boom, there's our Marlin action. Knock the old one out, drop the new one in. We make sure our follower is out of the way. We go up underneath those pins. We push down slightly on the back to align the holes. We push our plastic retaining pin back in, or if you've got screws front and rear, you put those back in. Bada bing, bada boom. There you go. The whole thing's done. And now we just got to put it back on our stock. 2 screws. Front screw. Rear screw. Don't over tighten these. Get them snug, but don't over tighten them. Snug the back one gently. Snug the front one. And then recheck your back one. You don't want to put uneven tension on them, so just go easy. And that's it. The Decellerator.